Hello, everyone. I think I timed that. In fact, I think I gave it a little bit of extra time. Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of our political recap. Later this time because people had real life things to do, and that's okay. Joining me, as always, is Omegon. Please say hello, Omegon.
Hello, Megon.
Hello, Omegon. How is Meg?
Nervous. How's
Yes,
Trups?
I know you are. Um, I'm all right. I'm doing okay. Trying to keep my microphone intact. That was always, that's
Would
fun.
you like to share what happened in the end?
Oh yeah, so it's very very important that you balance the gain on your microphone from a hardware standpoint as well as how your software interacts with it. So that means that if your gain switch is being a bit testy, that means you may have to adjust that, and it really shouldn't be up that high to begin with. Um, Long story short, I left my gain up too high.
Which is fantastic because it means Trups does not need to replace his microphone. It means Trups now has it fixed, which means that this will be, in fact, up on Spotify tomorrow.
Yes, and speaking of that, what are we up to in our Spotify numbers, Meg?
Well, I do
Do we know
believe,
that?
I do, yes. I do believe that we are at 171 followers. I know there's been a gap of a week, and that also means then a 2-week gap between the shows. That's unfortunate,
Mm-hmm.
but now that this issue has been resolved, we will both
Yep.
do our best to try and keep the audio at a consistent level.
Yes, and you guys in the chat, you also help us tremendously when you are able to tell us if balancing is off. That always helps.
Actually, that's a good
But
point. Yes.
But if there's no comments from chat, we will continue on as if everything is all good. Now, we were talking earlier before the stream started that I'm pretty sure that a remarkable amount of individuals, especially the ones in the UK, may not be totally in it for this live stream, as Italy is currently playing England at Wembley, and it is stressful to even my co-host here.
At
Um,
time of speaking, a live stream at 21:32 GMT. It's 1-1 in the final. And yes, many buttocks in the United Kingdom are clenched. But that's all right.
yes, puckered,
To be
if you
honest,
will.
puckered, yes. In the United Kingdom, we are just happy to be in the final, which sounds like a bit of a, oh, we're just here to play, it's fun. No, it's because we haven't been in one for so long. And we've had such good teams, but the chemistry's but this time the chemistry is there. And that's fantastic. And it's distracting because the year's not been great for everyone in many countries. But for selfish reasons on an English level, we just, we want something to talk about and be proud about. And whether you like football or not, that's your business. I'm not the biggest with football, but I'm still proud that our national team made it. And I hope we win. I would love that.
And speaking of having something to talk about, there really wasn't a whole lot happening in our neck of the woods.
Nope.
So we have a bunch of kind of a lot of topics that we don't have necessarily fully fleshed out ideas on, but they're newsworthy, and we wanted to bring it to your attention.
Yeah.
So where do you want to start? I know that Kamala is
Brexit!
the. Oh no.
Downing Street has rejected an estimate brought forward by the EU on the divorce bill because new figures put the total debt at £40.8 billion. Now, this was published from the EU's accounts for 2020, which also state the UK need to pay the EU 5.8 billion this year. But Number 10 has said that the spending commitments made before we left stands between 35 and 39, which actually is a number that was touted during the negotiations of what the divorce bill would be, our commitments to certain programs and institutes that we would be contractually obliged to finish paying our part in. so that the so going forward, the EU Commissioner said that this is a correct figure, and that they've informed the UK about the payments, and that they have to do with regard to the first payment of this year, and they've already, in fact, paid part of the amount concerned. Therefore, they have absolutely no indications at this point in time that the bill or the amount that we've calculated will be contested. But Downing Street replied to that by saying, "We don't recognise that figure. It's an estimate produced by the EU for its own internal accounting purposes." I assume they've accounted for inflation or I don't know, some kind of perk they've inserted that we don't know about. Perhaps an additional bit so they can waste it on really comfy chairs and lollipops.
Do they do that often?
They've wasted a lot of money over the years on institution buildings for themselves, like their parliament building is quite elaborate, quite big, quite expensive. Their salaries are big, their expenses are big. That's another thing. They get a big, and Farage will certainly back this. He had an expense, account that was bigger than most politicians in the UK, if not all. His salary was certainly more than most. It's double what MPs get. So he was making about 150 grand a year, I believe, which is it's a fun. I mean, he was there for over 20 years. He made his money. He's quite content, you know.
Oh yeah. It's always interesting to see where our tax dollars really go, isn't it?
So so part of the settlement, the EU also had to pay back money though to us, which is put into the European Investment Bank, just over 3 billion in fact, and the European Central Bank of about 50 million. The UK also receive a share of any money paid to the EU in fines that were imposed before the end of 2020. Which is apparently worth up to £1.2 billion. Now because our budget is a lot smaller than the likes of, for example, Mr. Big Capitalism over here, a billion goes a fair distance over here. A trillion barely does a dent over there. I'm sorry.
You'd think, right, that the money, the number would go about the same distance, but apparently we either suck at spending our money correctly, or we're really, really good at it. I can't tell.
You either need someone from the EU to show you how to spend money properly, or you need to find a really fun poor person. Because poor people, and I say this with relatives who've had money and then just gone and blown it, they're the best people. The term poorest rich person. Or a poor person, give poor person money, and the first thing they do, and I say this because I'm low income, I promise, I don't mean, it's not shade, it's just a statement of fact. Whenever they win the lottery, for example, someone who has themselves low income, breadline, hand-to-mouth living, they blow the money quickly because they don't know what to do with it. They don't understand the concept of patience or restraint. So that's what you should do instead. Yeah. Just keep hold of it because it will last you. Budget it. That's the point. Because because if you don't know what to do with your money or you just don't have any, what do you do?
Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, technically, realistically speaking, our country is actually very, very good at spending money.
Yeah,
the question is where, and if you ask where, you might not get a real answer.
Infrastructure. Because it's always infrastructure.
They'll tell you, yeah, it's part of that infrastructure bill. Okay, what's in the infrastructure bill? Shut up. Well, does it at least, some of that, 1.6 trillion, does that go to infrastructure? Oh, about 50 million.
Is that all?
Okay, what about the rest? I don't know. Actually, I don't know the actual number that goes to infrastructure. But I know that it's not everything is not all to infrastructure because it's an omnibus bill. I think you guys have that too.
I think we do. Yeah, the infrastructure is like a buzzword. I don't care for it. You can. I saw guys going down my street, and this is an infrastructure thing, I guess, to an extent, redoing the lines on the side of the road, and I thought, literally, no one pays attention to those. Get rid of them. No one. It's a waste of money. Go spend it on something we need, like, I don't know, a road that hasn't been dug up 30 times that has left us with about a dozen potholes.
Oh yeah.
How about that?
But that is technically something that is infrastructure related. So
yeah, it is.
You're on the right track.
It's in that area. I don't know. I just don't see the point. I'm not against roads, by the way, or tags. I'm not that guy. I know
I'm
someone.
not against roads. Yeah.
Yeah, no. Do you remember?
I mean,
Remember that? Remember that? That guy T. That was the YouTuber name. Um, he was like, I don't like roads, and he'd go into a political reason why. I said that.
I do not remember this, but
Right.
wow,
Well,
I don't.
he
I
was
don't
like,
doubt you.
yeah, it was very amusing to me because he drove.
Well,
Sorry, what were you going to drive on otherwise in your little hatchback or
oh
sedan,
yeah, SUV,
whatever you drove?
you,
I don't know.
eco mode definitely.
Maybe.
Anyways, so yeah, your EU spends better than us.
Well, they know how to spend, but they themselves have issues because we've left them a deficit. They've got to find that money somewhere. The thing is, the final figure for this payment, the divorce bill, could reach as high as 100 billion. It really could, and that's a big hole for them because they lose tens of billions from us by us not being there, by us not being trading, not being a part of their system. They lose tens of billions. So they need to find a way of dealing with that. So that either they institute some kind of austerity, or they increase what they charge other countries to keep going and not change how they function. And let's not forget here, at the same time, they're still pushing ahead with other programs that, well, we knew what they were going to do. Those that voted leave, knew they were going to do, and they did. It was proven they were going to do it. And it's going to hurt other countries. It's going to strain their resources. It's going to strain everything. And so they've got to try and either bleed us a little more to make sure they've got their cushion, or they've got to do it to other countries. And of course, I do care that they don't do it to other countries. I'd rather they be abolished, but not countries, the EU. But sadly, we're not going to get our own way on that one just yet.
No, not yet. Anyway, okay. So, do we want to just jump into quickly into another topic? How do you want to go with it?
I can do another topic. I can do another one.
Okay. Well, I got one for you because this is both U.S. and the U.K. Now, this is ongoing international things. Since we're talking about the EU, we might as well talk about this. Yeah. So, the U.S. has been pulling its troops out of Afghanistan.
Oh, no.
Now, since doing that, the Pentagon has reported that the Taliban has been bolstering its numbers and moving into areas that no longer have U.S. troops. Now, in support of the NATO mission, the UK had also sent troops into Afghanistan, and they, in line with the United States, have also begun reducing their numbers. How do you feel about it?
I'm surprised that this has been pushed ahead, considering what the consequence of it. Clearly, Afghanistan, as much as I'd love to give Afghanistan back to the Afghani people, as it is their country, and and hopefully live peacefully, sadly, there's a group there that is still growing, and they are still pushing, and this group is refusing to let others live their lives the way they have chosen to live. A life that we have tried to give them for years. And I feel bad for those people because they then run the risk of them being put under a thumb again by another group, the same group. It just doesn't stop, and that's not fair on them. I don't know whether or not we have a responsibility. You mentioned, you and I have discussed the idea of being global police. And it's when I really do sympathize with those people who are being who are now at risk because what is going to happen next as a consequence is those people's freedoms are going to be taken away. And I would love to see what happens next if other countries then try and, if, say, that group that is growing does manage to take over, if that group manages to make inroads and perhaps rule that country, Afghanistan that is, do other countries just issue sanctions, or do they
move in troops on themselves?
Or do they work with them? What do they do?
Well, so this is kind of like a thought that I've had. Now I've not really much of a basis on it. It's more like it's me theory crafting, I would suppose. So it's been what, 20 years
Mm-hmm.
since we've been in the Middle East, and since a lot of the initial fights that we were having, the major fights that we were having, has slowed down. We've kind of gone, and I say we, I mean like the U.S. has gone into kind of a way about doing things where we're kind of building roads, building schools for them. We're building things for them as if we were their government. Now, the theory crafted part, the part that I'm not necessarily sure I'm comfortable with, is the idea that they may have developed a reliance
Mm-hmm.
on foreign aid. And so, in line with the things that you were saying, where you hope that the people can, live life happily and, peacefully, I worry that the Taliban creates a opportunity for the Afghani people to feel, in a certain sense, safe against other potential invaders, other potential dangers to their country, because they are a fighting force that obviously could, at the very least, pose an issue to the United States enough that we had to show up.
Yeah.
So they are a considerable fighting force for defense. So it is possible that they may lean into such power and authority as a means to protect themselves, and I kind of worry about that.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think?
So you mentioned the reliance on foreign aid. That's actually a very good point, because I've seen other countries in the past who have reacted negatively to when governments like the UK, for example, have reduced their foreign aid budget. But the thing is, it is not our job to prop your country up. We want to obviously help, but it is not our job
Right.
to subsidise you as a country. A voice of prosper, I think that any permanent change over there must come from within rather than without. I actually
I
do
agree.
agree with you. Yeah, we both agree with you on this. And so the question is, does Afghanistan, in this instance, are they dependent on foreign intervention? Now, there were programs in place where we were trying to prepare them. So, for example, training their military to defend themselves, train their own troops, in fact, take over
Mm-hmm.
that kind of custodian duty.
Mm-hmm.
But if the group in question that Trups has mentioned a few times, I believe, are making inroads, does that not then mean either the military strategy has failed, or those that we trained that then trained others either didn't do a good enough job, or we just didn't train them well enough?
Well, okay, so I remember this was maybe 2 to 4 months ago. There
Hmm.
was a person who came out and said that after all of the things um, that had happened in Afghanistan, we
Hmm.
had only effectively trained, I think it was like 100 fighters, and some of them had had passed away due to fighting. Um, and I
Never
remember
ending
because there was
battle.
a Senate hearing. There was a Senate hearing on it, and they were like 100, like 100,000. No, 100. What?
That's not good.
Like they were like I don't remember who the fuck said it. Afghan forces trained Senate hearing, because I remember them going absolutely like bonkers over this. Like, what do you mean? What? You didn't do your job? What do you mean?
100
I'm
is
trying to
not a
see
good
if I can
number.
find it. Yeah, it was some ridiculously small number. Um and I can't find it right now. I'll have to find it some other time. But it was some ridiculously small number, and it very much felt like we hadn't done our job effectively out there.
Yeah.
Um so I mean, that being said, I know that the Afghanis have according to our let's see, Pentagon press secretary John Kirby says that Afghanistan's capacity and capabilities included a very capable air force and very sophisticated special forces that can help defend the country from Taliban resurgence, provided they choose to do that. That's the part that I'm criticizing. There may be instances where they don't even want to, because why get rid of fighters when you can have them working for you? Which is more or less the concern of this whole idea. So I don't necessarily know how we're going to do that, but I do agree with Prospero that the changes really needed to come from inside the country. But I mean, we know very well that the basis of us getting involved was definitely not, it wasn't because we cared about the people.
Not humanitarian. It was not a humanitarian thing. No.
Yeah, it was definitely financial.
It was philanthropic. So I do think that there's a big fail. So you meant Prospero says change from within rather than without. The problem with the change within is you have one group that just wanted to take over and destroy everything, and then there's the other group that don't know how to fight that. And we've tried to help, and I agree. I don't know. I also think, so there's another thing here. It's been going on for centuries over there in that particular area of the world.
Oh, in that area? Absolutely.
And us trying to stop it when it's all based on ideology is redundant. We're not going to accomplish anything. We're not going to get them to... We're not going to get those that disagree with each other to stop fighting because they can't seem to talk. They just think, you're just fundamentally wrong because my version of this is correct. And we can't change that. And so they'll keep fighting regardless because they believe they're right. And so the idea of democracy, even though in our countries, let's just entertain this notion for a minute that it is 100% perfect. Please indulge me, okay? Even though we have disagreements, we accept democracy. We accept the difference, the result, eventually. We accept the result in some cases. Some don't, I know. Don't get me started. It would take forever to go through. Far too much effort, all right? My point still stands. Democracy doesn't work
at the very least, even if you're on the other side of the political aisle, like Americans, UK, Japan, Japanese, the French, the Canadians, even if they fuck it up in places, we all agree on the fundamental idea of democracy.
Yeah.
Some people might have a fucked up view of it, and some people may not like how it turns out for them in a specific election. That's their problem for now.
Yeah.
And I'm just going to put a little asterisk next to that, okay? That's their problem to deal with themselves. But a lot of these places, they don't believe in that. But I don't think it is our job to go in and tell them that they need democracy.
So I will say, you and I did disagree a little on this world police idea. But I do tend to, in this context, when it comes to supporting other countries to the point we are keeping them in the way they are, when they need to be able to do this themselves after all the years of 2 decades, that's insane.
Absolutely.
What is it? Doing the same thing over and over again and expecting a different result is the definition of insanity. If we keep on propping up countries that disagree with us, we're insane.
And we are, because we keep doing that. And I think we're going to keep doing that because it is wonderfully profitable. As cynical as it sounds, it's true.
No, money played a huge part in investments in that region, and I use the word investment incorrectly. I know some of you may have gotten what I meant, but perhaps incursion. No.
Oh, I mean, we invest plenty in that.
No, you guys invested like there was no tomorrow.
Oh, we invest everything: people, money, guns, bullets.
The quality of the investment over there speaks for itself.
Oh, absolutely, so much investment. But there comes a time, and this is where I think the fundamental disagreement of the idea of world policing comes in, is that I don't think we should make those investments. I don't think that it's our job, because I don't think that people need to. I don't think our country needs to be the ones to go and do that. I mean,
Yes.
like, if it would be different if it was like Saudi Arabia was, or you know what, let's take the UAE, because the UAE is remarkably more Western than
Oh yeah, it
many of the
is.
other Middle Eastern countries. So let's
Yeah.
use them as an example. If they were taking an interest in the betterment of the countries surrounding them, I would have a little less concern over them getting involved. It's a local issue because those kind of fundamentalists threaten their nation too. I would be a little bit more accepting of that. But the fact that we have to literally, fly halfway across the world just to protect our quote unquote investments, I don't necessarily think that that's an effective use of our time or efforts.
Now, and where we did disagree, my opinion has kind of changed over the years, over time, because I'm not as interested in getting involved in other countries that much. And UAE, by the way, Dubai is amazing. I'd love to go there one day. I'd love to go.
I want to go to Abu Dhabi.
Abu Dhabi, good. They've got a fantastic Grand Prix racing car thing. I would very much like to see that because it looks fantastic. And Abu Dhabi itself is... Yeah, it's also the thing about culture and history. They actually do retain a lot of it, which is even better, whereas some people who share similar beliefs annihilate it.
Oh, yeah. Well, that also depends on the length of time that your civilization has existed. And, of course, the Middle East having been one of the first civilizations, in that region, of course, they're going to have a bit more, going for them over time.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's a fascinating topic, though, isn't it?
Oh, absolutely.
Got some British
let's
news.
move into... Yeah, okay.
Okay. So I announced at some point that on July 19th, the UK will be coming out of the majority of its lockdown to the point where the legal requirements will shift greatly. It is now believed that on Monday the Prime Minister is going to include so he'll first confirm the legal requirement for masks will end on July 19th, but masks will still be considered compulsory on things like trains, at doctors, and in shops, so they don't end at all. And when I got my application photos for my passport the other day. The photos I had to get on yesterday. Sorry, I went into the shop and I had to wait outside, which is great because it was raining. I waited there 30 minutes because the woman was printing out a literal archive. But when I asked them about July 19th, they said no because I have to protect my staff, and I'm like, but the government has said things are improving. So how are you protecting your staff if the mandate has changed? And she said, because I don't vote Conservative. You've got to be kidding me. So I went in. I needed a carry bag for the photos to go in. So I went into my butcher's and bought a sandwich essentially, and then paid 10p for a carrier bag. And I asked someone behind the counter. Then they said no. I said why? It's because, and the guy said because we've been told because. They are doing what's best for us. Okay, I asked a few other businesses, and they all said the same. In fact, the only people that I spoke to that said they were going to remove the mask mandate was a pub. The one I clean, for example, they've gotten rid of they can't wait to be back to full business because their main customer base are a lot older, and so their view is this is a colossal waste of our time. Get us back to normal because we need to be working as normal, But apparently, masks are going to carry on in a vast number of places, with the government saying they want people to stress a personal responsibility and a corporate responsibility on the matter, and that the fortification of the vaccine program, wrong word, has allowed us to cautiously move to step 4 of the lockdown easing, with the Prime Minister having more to say about this, Monday, which would be for those who are listening live on YouTube. Hi, people on YouTube. Tomorrow, those on Spotify. Hello. The guidelines...
Wow, you had such a different reaction to people on YouTube than the ones on Spotify.
People on Spotify can't reply in a comment, so I'm safe.
Oh, word.
It's like when I could do it a little bit more aggressively. Hello, Spotify. I'm not going to though.
Ah, yes.
I might cut that
entered
out.
into demon mode.
Yes. So the guidelines make it clear on things like mask wearing. There's an expectation of people to wear them indoors in crowded places or public transport. I want them gone on public transport. I don't see the point. That's just asinine. It can go. The crowded place thing annoys me because that could well mean gigs. I've got a few gigs later this year. I've got Behemoth later in the year, and I've got Ailstorm in December. I don't want to be wearing a freaking face mask at Ailstorm. I want to be drinking and having a laugh with my mate. Same for Behemoth.
Yeah, that's kind of the
Brixton.
point, isn't it?
I want to drink a lot at Behemoth because they've got they got Arch Enemy supporting. It's gonna be a fantastic gig. So it's the health secretary Sajid Javid, the new one who took over from Matt, hands on cock, said that anyone who would not wear a mask, may as well be at this point, who did not wear a mask in an enclosed space was being irresponsible. And this is interesting because it's a little bit contradictory for Sajid Javid to say this, because he is the person that has been pushing for the government to carry on with the plan to lift mask requirements, while according to this to Labour's Shadow Health Secretary Jonathan Ashworth, infections are heading to 100,000 a day, but that death number is still in single digits. That's interesting. Very interesting. Very interesting. Very interesting. I know that the worry is that it will mutate and then suddenly kill everyone. I know what they're trying to say. I get it. At the moment, it's about 30,000. It's crept up again, but it's nowhere near December, which is just over 60,000 a day, I believe. So it's halfway there. I'm not saying that as a good thing. Just pointing out the bleeding.
Saying
obvious.
that it is a thing.
Yeah, exactly. It's just a thing. So the mask thing is carrying on because apparently the masks make all the bloody difference when they really don't. They don't. All they do is stop you speaking moistly. That's about it. Nothing more. All right. I did that solely to annoy someone in the chat. I couldn't help myself.
Oh, I know. I see that. I see that.
Interestingly, on Friday I went to see Fast and Furious 9. This is relevant. And before that, right,
this is relevant.
No. It is. It took an hour. It was a 30-minute drive. Became a 2-hour drive because a road was closed. So we had to sit in what was meant to be a dual carriageway, single lane traffic with 4 roundabouts, which backed us up for quite a while. So we had to get a different viewing later on to watch the movie. We arrived 2 hours before that viewing, but 9 minutes after the movie started. So we had 2 hours to kill. And so what we did was go for a cheeky Nando's. And so we did. And we went in. We had to wear a mask until we sat at our table. We had to sign in with the NHS Track and Trace app. And then you had to sign in with another QR code where it goes to your phone and you click it and blah, blah, blah. Go to a table. Use an app to order your food to your table, which thankfully my mate Dave worked out. But until you get to your seat, you have to wear a mask. The moment you're sat at the table, though, you can take your mask off until your food, not even until until you leave. And to me, this is silly. Then, why are people allowed to take? If you're so worried about the masks, how is it the moment they're sat down at a table, they're suddenly safe? I'm sorry, this is ridiculous.
Well, you know that it's not. And this is. I don't remember. I think it was last week that we were talking about it. Maybe I was talking with somebody else about it. No, I was talking with somebody else about it. The masks, honestly, they aren't. It's not to do the thing that they're said to do. The mask is there because individuals feel comfortable when they wear a mask.
I don't feel comfortable. It was freaking humid.
Well, right. What I mean is the people who are scared to exist are afraid because those things give them it's like when you're a toddler, right? And you got a special blanket. That blanket you've slept with all the time. If you don't have that blanket, suddenly you cannot sleep anymore because the monsters will get you. It is exactly like that.
It's become the boogeyman. And I just want to add to this, right? So in the cinema, you also it was compulsory to wear a mask unless you were eating. And also they had all the seats. You booked your seat and you were spaced with little social distancing. Okay. So In that cinema, I counted 18 people. Now, there weren't many, obviously. And of those 18 people, within their little social distance bubbles, everyone was in the top left-hand corner of that theatre. No one was anywhere else. And only one person was wearing a mask. No, I was not that person. That was my mate Dave. I had ice cream, so I could eat. And then when I finished, I just decided I'm not ruining my beard with a fucking mask. Which isn't irresponsible. Literally, no one else was wearing
very
one.
responsible.
No one was. My beard is very important to me. I'm not ruining it for. No. I'm sick of getting kinks on my chin that makes my beard look like it's curling inwards. It's just annoying me because it's growing down now.
I had that problem too, actually.
I don't want that. I want it to, work with it, Yeah. It's just silly because people were still able to sit there even without food and just. I don't know. It seemed redundant. To even have them mandated, and to know they're going to stay even if the government says otherwise, is people saying, we know better than the government in this context, when for the best part of 18 months, you've been obeying the government in every single respect when it came to controlling people. But now the control is being lifted, you're like, actually, should we keep it a little bit longer? I love it when the government controls me.
I love it when the government keeps it longer.
Just a little bit longer.
It's funny because we have similar issues, and this is actually part of. I'm glad you mentioned all this because it's a wonderful segue.
Thank you.
Infections rise in 42 states. Fauci says it's horrifying to see people cheer the lack of vaccinations. Okay, so that's from MSN.com. Fun question before we get into that story. When's the last time we talked about Fauci here?
Oh God. I think we briefly touched upon him a couple of weeks back with the thing on Twitter.
It was because of his emails, yeah?
Yeah, it was the emails. That's what it was.
Oh, the I am science. You can't say that I'm wrong. I am science. That was one of the statements that he had made on, I think it was CNN.
I think it was, yeah.
But it's very interesting because I haven't seen a whole lot of news on Fauci, and I have an app on my phone called Newsbreak that tells me about things every day, even things I don't want to see. I can't begin to tell you how many shootings I've seen recorded on that
You
app.
mentioned that. I've actually got a recent Windows update that's put a stupid news thing in the bottom left right-hand corner of my thing, and I need to uninstall it because it's doing my head in. I keep getting weather reports and freaking currency converters.
Oh, good. Maybe it's because it knows. Oh wait, is that this fucking? Yeah, it is. I have this too. This thing. It's just mostly cloudy. That's funny. I actually have that too. I'm gonna use this more often.
Oh God.
I didn't even know that existed. I just thought it was my weather app. I boomered. It's fine.
Muzzle me, government, daddy.
No.
No, I'm reading the chat. Reading the chat.
Oh no. Okay.
It wasn't me. That wasn't my idea.
Who the fuck said that? Oh,
chaos. Yeah, it's chaos.
Of course it is.
Government daddy.
Oh, please. Anyway, but no, it was interesting because Fauci hasn't been around at all. Like,
not really.
I haven't heard about him hardly ever since we moved into post-email Fauci, right? So it's interesting to see him coming back, and especially talking about the criticizing the partisan gap for holding back vaccinations. This is as of Bloomberg. He says said ideological rigidity is preventing people from getting COVID-19 shots, and voiced frustration at the struggle to boost vaccination rates in parts of the country.
Mm-hmm.
So, what's interesting about that is we have how many variants have been reported?
Too many. Too many.
Yeah, too many, right?
No, okay. They've gone past national and they've changed it to Greek letters of the alphabet.
Yes. I know we had the Delta variant and we had the Delta Plus. I think there was a Sigma variant, but I might just be getting that.
Can we have Lambda now? Lambda? I want Lambda.
I want the Gamma variant. Can you imagine the Gamma variant?
Oh, people are going to be like, oh my God,
like
I'm the Hulk.
Virus,
I'm the Hulk. That's what it is. It's going to be that.
I I wouldn't even be upset. um, but okay, so infections rise in 42 states, not the deaths. But the deaths apparently in June, according to the CDC director,
Mm-hmm.
said more than 99% of COVID-19 deaths in the U.S. in June were among unvaccinated people. That's an interesting number because that means that at least 1% wasn't. Has anyone questioned that data point?
That's interesting.
Yeah, isn't it? But I know that Pfizer has come out and said that they want to add another shot to theirs as a booster. Moderna has not said that. I don't think Johnson & Johnson has. I don't know if AstraZeneca is still even in the fight anymore. But
That does remind
it's
me.
very interesting.
That,
What's that?
It reminds me about the thing that the Jen Psaki thing, where she said that government officials will be knocking on people's doors to check they've had a vaccine.
Yeah, that's a thing that happened.
I put it in our tab actually. I just scrolled up and found it. Yeah, it's a tweet. She said the US will implement a targeted community by community door-to-door outreach to get more Americans vaccinated.
Fun story. That was
Thoughts?
actually also talked about in New Zealand.
And your
They
thoughts?
were going to do that as well. Oh, my thoughts? Get the fuck out of my house. Get the fuck out of my neighborhood. Nope. Ronald Reagan has a lovely quote where he says, I think it was the how many ever words this is, scariest words in the English language is, I'm from the government and I'm here to help.
At no point should anyone be turning up at another person's home to either force them to or guilt them into taking what they consider a vaccine. Ever. They shouldn't be doing this.
No, of course not. And it's more than just like, oh, because I can already like feel the presence of those who will disagree. But you know, they contribute to COVID deaths to themselves. This has been a theory that has evaded my comprehension. If you want to say there's a partisan divide in vaccines, that means mostly Republicans probably aren't the ones that aren't getting the vaccines. Yeah.
Yeah.
Wouldn't that be something that Democrats want?
I don't know.
I mean, it's dark, and it's, you know, attributing a very, very dark kind of sensibility towards those who ordinarily don't really show that they care about other individuals besides their own. But it is a possibility, and wouldn't it make more sense, right? That if it is Republicans or conservatives that aren't the ones getting the vaccine, that the people, the Democrats, the leftists, or those who work with those people who do have vaccines, they should be remarkably happy that they're not the ones who are going to be in danger. Because they have a vaccine, of course, the one that works, the one that everyone agrees works, in fact. In fact, if you don't say that, I don't necessarily think it's a complete and utter fixing of the issue, because I don't think that's YouTube approved. But it does work according to the government, right? So if you're telling me that you're concerned for yourself that it might not work for you, are you engaging in fake news? Like,
it feels
yes,
like it, doesn't it?
The partisan divide is it becomes remarkably brazen when you have these points of information. As you line up the facts, it's like, okay, you're vaccinated, you still wear the mask outside.
Yeah.
You're worried about COVID. Why? If you wear the mask and you are vaccinated, what fear do you have that you are going to be in danger?
Do you remember that argument? I'm not bringing it up to be a twat, where some said that they wouldn't take the mask off in either solidarity or because they could still catch it.
Yes. Yes, I do remember. But remember, the mask is not to protect you. It is to protect others from you. That was the revelation that came out of Fauci's emails. It wasn't that the mask is meant to protect oneself. It is to protect others from the droplets. The droplets.
The droplets?
The droplets.
That's one hell of a way of saying it. I approve.
Yeah, well, fucking Fauci, man. Um, but not only that, but I was curious, right? So you have these people who are coming to individuals' houses because they are not registered to have had the vaccine. My grandmother, allergic to very many medications. It's why my mom is allergic to penicillin, right? She cannot get the vaccine because it is not in her best interest to get it because of previous medical issues. She is above her 70s. Does that give me concern? A bit, because they are in the vulnerable group. Sure, that gives me concern. However, I also know that a government official going to her home and saying you need to get this, she would promptly close the door in their face after telling them, I'm going to listen to my doctor, not some suit from the government showing up at my house.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah.
So I know that that's just my grandmother, and I know that the rest of my family, including my sister-in-law, who is a pharmacy technician, does not believe in the vaccine. She doesn't believe in it because she doesn't think that the timing of the research put into it was good enough, in her opinion. In her professional opinion, one could say. But that kind of information, again, stifled. But that's their individual choice. They won't tell you how to live your life. They would tell you, go see your doctor, find out what's best for you, right?
Yeah.
Government officials showing up at your house is not a way to do it. In fact, it's the best way to make more political divide, more of a partisan gap in getting a vaccine. Because nothing makes people more concerned than a government official coming to your house and go, hi, we would like to talk to you about the fact that you have not gotten the government-sanctioned vaccine yet. You ever see the movie Equilibrium?
Yes, actually.
Doesn't that scream Equilibrium to you?
There is a bit of a
You
connection.
haven't taken your emotional suppressants.
Oh God, yeah.
Cleric.
One of Christian Bale's greatest performance.
I actually very much like that movie.
It's not bad.
And you haven't taken your emotional suppressants, Cleric. No, but that kind of stuff is going to happen, and if they truly start walking door to door, you're going to have people more resistant to the idea of getting this vaccine, and there's no way around it. You're just going to have people who are not going to play ball. So I think actually their best case scenario is don't do anything but that. In fact, I think that would be their best case scenario. Otherwise, they may cause more issues than they're solving.
Mm-hmm.
But hey, that's just me.
Just you.
Okay. So shall we? Well, okay. Let's talk about Kamala.
Okay. That means I can close a couple tabs here about the
me too.
Haiti president.
I was like,
he's gone.
Yeah, I was getting rid of a whole bunch of tabs.
Okay. I got one little thing. So.
Okay.
An SNP member of Scottish Parliament has been reported over tweets to Jacob Rees-Mogg where he said "rot in hell." What do you think?
What was he reported for?
For saying "rot in hell" to Jacob Rees-Mogg on Twitter.
Is he dead?
No.
Then who cares?
Thank you. Moving on. Kamala Harris been in office for 6 months.
I'm like, is he dead and is he speaking ill of the dead? I mean, if that was the case, I'd be like, it's poor taste.
So people will notice on Thursday and Friday on the exhibition of stupid people and twat, they will have noticed I took a very similar stance when it came to comments made by Ollie Robinson, a cricketer in the UK who made some spicy tweets, 10 years ago, and got fined for it and suspended for a few matches, which I think is not the right punishment. He should be dealt with on Twitter if they breach the terms of service. Although, to be honest, any tweets older than 5-6 years are utterly redundant to use now because everyone made edgy jokes then. Except for me, because I deleted all my tweets a little while ago.
I may or may not have made a new account.
I did it like 6 months ago. But I and in twat, it was because of an athlete in the US who didn't qualify because she failed the marijuana thing we talked about last Friday for the Olympics. But she also was running the risk of not getting in because she had a couple tweets that were a little bit homophobic towards Lil Nas. Which she called him.
Which, by the way, Montero is is a lovely earworm. I don't know if you guys know.
I have no idea what that is.
It's his song. It's the song that everyone got upset about because he was like.
I've seen little snippets. I've seen like gifs of the video, and my thought is, it looks like the guy's having an absolute blast. I don't care.
Oh, absolutely.
He looks like he's rocking it. Why do I care? I'm not into that genre.
Yeah, exactly.
Don't care. And also, I also don't care that he's gay. Is that it? Yeah, because that would explain the homophobic tweets from Richardson, the athlete, where she said, "Don't follow me into him," and he's also gay as fuck, which I think is just stupid. Unfollow me if you're into his gay stuff or whatever. I don't know. N-word bits here and there, and I don't see a point. I don't care. It's silly, but the position is still consistent. It doesn't matter. It's a freaking tweet, and it applies here. Do you want to talk about the rural resident thing?
Yes. Okay, so Kamala Harris recently made a bit of I guess you could call it a gaffe.
Faux pas?
Yeah, we could go with that. By saying that rural residents can't get photocopies of their IDs to vote by mail because they don't have a Kinko's or an Office Max.
Can't people just use their phones to do that these days?
You could, or you could use your home printer and copier because almost every printer copier now does both.
I have one actually, and it does both. I still have mine from university. I can literally just scan. It doesn't matter. It still works.
Correct. But Kamala Harris appears to either believe that, one, rural communities do not have access to such luxuries as as a printer copier.
That costs like £50.
Or they are far too stupid to operate such complicated machinery.
Yes.
I don't know what I would be more. I don't know what I'd be more offended by, in my opinion.
Yeah.
But I'm offended by both on behalf of others.
That's understandable. I mean, printers aren't overly expensive over here. You can get one probably for. I mean, I could go on Amazon and have a look, but I know mine wasn't overly expensive. All-in-one printer. You know.
You can buy old ones too. Like there are old ones that you can buy like from 2000. Yeah. And they still work. They're still functional.
Yeah.
So I don't know where even this came from, but it illustrates a very important problem with how just individuals in
£55 you can get one for.
But what pisses me off is that individuals in these parties seem to have this opinion of either low income or rural people that they are somehow just like they don't get it, they don't know how to operate things, they're stupid, they're inhuman. Like I don't know, I can't begin to explain to you what is going through their head. All I know is that it seems remarkably I guess you would say condescending at the very least.
It is.
Because
£45. Found one cheaper.
Oh, nice. I don't know, because this is something that happens all the time in American politics. I don't know how often it happens for you in your country, but I know that we have plenty of individuals who apparently would qualify as Democrats, frequently making comments that would otherwise impugn the intelligence of the everyday working class American. You saw that in the same kind of comments where people will say that, black people can't be expected to, get IDs. Voter IDs are racist because black people may not have the same access to the DMV. I'm sorry, said who?
Yeah, I don't get that.
I don't know if you've ever been to an area that is predominantly black. But believe it or not, they all have IDs. And you know how I know is because they drive and they go places. They do things like people, you know? Like everyone else. Everyone else does these things. Like I don't fucking understand. Like why are you why? It's just racist. It's just racist. Like Democrats are racist. Prove me wrong. If you tell me that voter IDs are racist because black people don't have access to it, you're a racist. If you tell me that
yes, but you're forgetting because she said it.
Yeah, but she's not black. She's Indian.
Not according to others that have said she is.
Yeah, but that's because they're also racist. They said, "Oh, look, brown skin is black."
Yeah, they do like to. When it suits people to say they are all these different races, they'll say it as if it's a badge of honor. And in doing so, they then forget. They then choose to intentionally forget it when it's best for them, and by doing so, they just utterly devalue what they've originally said.
Oh, absolutely. And the worst thing is if you ever do try and call them out on it, they won't even entertain your comment with it. They will just use a word that means that you're a bad person or you're morally bereft. And
Yes.
And you will no longer be able to argue with them because they are better than you, apparently. It's so hard to hold people accountable on the left to their own standards because they have none.
Mm-hmm.
I hate it, right? I can't begin to explain to you how much this shit bothers me.
It's because it's such a contradiction. It's a frustrating one as well. You choose when race matters to you.
Mm-hmm.
Your platform was a lot of it, not yours. Those who disagree with you in the voters' booth made race a big issue, but then you get it wrong, and it's okay because you're on that side.
Right.
I don't agree with this. I think if you have to. Perhaps it's because, again, not really a party person, but it has to be a consistency thing. If you can't call someone any one of those racial slurs, then don't call them that. Don't say that they are one of those racial slurs, though, because they have a similar colour skin. Or champion them as the next Barack Obama when they're not. They are Kamala Harris. I don't know. Vice President Harris.
She doesn't even know. She's actually pronounced her own name differently. And people have caught on to that as well. No, it's even worse than that because when they were saying, "Oh, cancel culture isn't cancel culture; it's accountability culture."
Oh, it's consequence culture. That was it.
Oh, consequence culture. Yeah. It's not, and everyone knows it's not because it's not those on the left who get who get their consequences brought forward, right?
Yeah.
It's not those people who have to worry about their job or their whatever the fuck it is when shit hits the fan.
Mm-hmm.
It's the conservatives who have to essentially walk on eggshells or stop giving a fuck. And embrace this unfortunate consequence culture when they can't even hold the people who are holding them accountable. They can't even do the opposite. They can't even return in kind because the rules actually weren't made for conservatives to play. They were made exactly for conservatives, in fact, not to play. It was only meant to stifle political opponents and nothing else.
Right.
And that's just the truth. Damn it, pisses me off so much. But
you do get a little bit annoyed, but understandably so.
Well, I don't know how much of it happens in your country, but it happens so much here.
Yeah. I'm not sure at the moment because we have a conservative government. It's very strange. We see contradictions, sure. But I don't know. I'm not entirely sure about that just yet.
Fair enough. Yeah, I mean, you could even simply put it to who they put blame on, right? In our
Trump, of
country,
course. Trump. It's always Trump.
It's Trump or conservatives, yeah.
And let's not
Um,
forget he's busy now sorting out class action lawsuits.
yep, against Twitter, yep, absolutely,
Google
and
as
Facebook
well.
for
And yeah,
yep,
I
and it's going to be a big one too. I hope a bunch of players start playing with them because can you imagine the amount of money that would go into a class action lawsuit, especially with so many higher, well, we'll call them financially endowed conservatives, taking it to places like Facebook and Twitter. What kind of change could actually be brought because simply I don't know how well Google could hold up if you took let's just say the five richest conservatives and put it against them, how well they would stand to do. I don't
mm-hmm.
know. It's an interesting thought, and it'll be one that we will be watching. Do you have anything else to mention?
It's
As we
1-1
are.
in the second half of extra time,
Oh,
which
fuck.
means at the end of the next 7 minutes, although two people are down right now, at the end of it, it will go to penalties, and England do not have a good track record on penalties.
Oh no!
But for the sake of it, I have
Italy
faith.
does. Italy beat Spain on penalties, didn't they?
They did. I do sorely, and obviously this goes out on Spotify after, and people watch this on playback. I do obviously want England to win, so I wish them nothing but the best. That's it for me. Thank you.
Okay. Well, if you have anything to shill,
please go follow us on Spotify. It is the name of this channel there. We'd greatly appreciate it and help drive up that engagement. It would mean a lot to us.
yes, indeed. And I don't have anything to shill myself. So with that, I'm going to thank everybody for coming. Thank you for smashing the like button. Thank you for being with us on this unusual Sunday stream. And I'm going to say goodnight to everybody so that you can watch the last 7 minutes of your game. Good night, Meg.
Good night, Meg.